Prime lens versus zoom lens is one of the hardest decisions you need to make as a creator. But what if I told you that's actually wrong? You just need to change your mindset from what do I want to what do I actually need. So all I need you to do is keep in your head what photography you're going to be doing, and I'm going to go through the pros and cons of both prime lenses and zoom lenses, and by the end you will know exactly what lens you need, not what lens you want. Remember that, what lens you need, not what lens you want. So let's start this thing off with zoom lenses, and the number one thing with zoom lenses is conveniency. That's its number one pro that it has over prime lenses. So again, remember what sort of photography you're going to be doing. Is that important to you? Are you going to be shooting events where you need to get something really wide, but then something happens over there and you need to zoom in to be able to get that shot? Or you're shooting weddings, or just something where there's loads of stuff going on where you can't miss a second by putting your bag down and changing to your second prime lens to get that wide shot? Oh wait, that moment's already over. So it's normally events or occasions where anything could happen at any time and you need to be ready to go. If that's the sort of photography you're going to be doing, then that's one point to the zoom lens side that you really should consider, because that is a major playing point in the whole debate between primes and zooms. They're also really good because you can buy one lens but have multiple focal lengths in that one lens, so you've saved a bit of money. They are a little bit more expensive, zoom lenses, because there's a lot more going on, so a lot more money goes into it because you're getting more for your money. But when you think about it, you only need 3 lenses. If you're going to commit to zoom lenses, you can get the entire range really of focal lengths that you're ever going to need, from 16 to 35, from 28 to 70, and then from 70 to 200. Those are the 3 lenses that you can get, and that will cover you literally for everything just with 3 lenses in your bag. So that's what's really convenient about them as well, is that you can cover so many distances with so little lenses. Whereas if it was primes, you'd have to get a 35mm, then an 85mm, then a 70mm, and then a 50mm. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot more going on. Whereas with zooms, you can do that just with 3 lenses and cover the entire range. So that all sounds great, right? But there are some cons to zoom lenses, and the major one is sharpness. Some people say this is a myth, but you do notice the difference. Prime lenses are a lot sharper because they've just got that one piece of glass. They don't have to move anywhere, so they can really define that piece of glass and make it super sharp. Whereas on a zoom lens, it has to travel through all these different pieces of glass to go from the zoom to the wide. So it's not going to be as sharp as you get on a prime lens, and you can notice the difference when you put them side by side. So if that's really something that you need, like if you're doing portraits and you need that crisp sharpness, maybe consider a prime if sharpness and overall quality is something that is really important to you. They also tend to only go down to f2.8, which is the aperture basically. So if you want to get these tiny little detail shots like this bird shit on the back of my car, you want to go down to like f1.4. Most zoom lenses only go to f2.8. You can find some that go lower, don't get me wrong, but they're normally only going to go to 2.8. So if tiny little detail shots with really crazy bokeh out of focus around their actual shot is important to you, then also consider that, because most of them can only go to 2.8, which is still low, don't get me wrong, but yeah. Right, I need to go to the next location. So those are the main points for zoom lenses. Now we get to move on to the big boy prime lenses. So again, remember what sort of photography you're going to be doing as we go through this. Prime lenses, the main point is their sharpness. There's nothing like a prime lens for sharpness and overall quality, but you lose conveniency now. So this more appeals to people that are doing like portraits, or they're doing car photography, or they're doing product shots where that subject is not going anywhere and you've got loads of time to put your bag down, take your 85mm off, go get your 35mm out, put that on, change the filter. There's a lot more things you have to do now, where if you were using that prime lens for events, yes, you'd get extra sharpness, but you're going to lose that conveniency of a zoom lens where you quickly need to zoom in or quickly need to zoom out. Do you know what I mean? So this is where you need to think in your head again, what sort of photography are you going to be doing? It should really start to be an easy choice now. Another pro for prime lenses is that low f-stop. Most prime lenses can go down to f1.4. It's quite hard to find a prime lens that doesn't go that low. They all go really, really low. So you can get that sharpness already, but then that crazy bokeh around the subject where it's all going to be blurry and out of focus. F1.4, so that tiny little bit is going to be sharp. The rest of it's going to be blurry. It just looks, yeah, it's the best. If you can't already tell, I'm a prime lens fan. I'll explain what my opinion is at the very end, but I'm trying to be as non-biased as possible right now. But yeah, with the sharpness and the low f-stop makes for just these crazy, crazy sharp shots. It just looks uncomparable to zoom lenses. The other slight con for a prime lens is its autofocus. Sometimes, I could be wrong, but from my experience, let me just change the shot, keep you entertained. So yeah, for me, prime lenses autofocus is not that great. This could just be my personal experience, like I could be totally wrong, who knows? But I use an 85mm prime, and when I'm focusing on something and I change to something else, it has a hard time finding that focus point straight away. It hunts for focus quite a lot. Whereas when I've used my zoom lenses, I feel like because they're used to zooming in and out so much, their autofocus is sort of tuned in where it's like, okay, we know we need to be all over the place and be able to catch focus really quickly. Whereas I feel like prime lenses can be a bit complacent because they're just sat at one focal length. That could be totally just my experience. Who knows, maybe I've just got a dodgy 85mm, but just take that into consideration. Check the comments because people might let me know that I am completely wrong. But yeah, that's my experience with a prime lens. So those are the pros and cons for both lenses really. There's 2 pros and 2 cons, but it all really, it just all boils down to the one point, which is conveniency. That is the only point really that you should be thinking about, because let's be honest, sharpness, yes, it is better, and I'm going to contradict myself, but if you're scrolling through Instagram, it compresses it anyway. You're not really going to see it. You are, but you're not. It's a funny one. But yeah, it all boils down to conveniency. If you need to be able to quickly zoom in and zoom out and not miss any shots and be able to go wide and zoom within seconds, then yeah, you need to go for a zoom lens. But then if you've got time on your photo shoots, then there's no reason really that you shouldn't just go for a prime lens for that extra sharpness. Do you know what I mean? So that's the only point you really need to think about. So just think about what photography you're doing, and then if you need to be, well, that should be it really. What photography are you doing? Events, right, you need a zoom lens. Oh, and then if you're doing, that was really awkward. I hate speaking in front of people, but he snuck up on me. It should be really simple. If you've got time, prime lens. If you don't have time, zoom lens. So there's your non-biased explanation. But now I'm going to be very biased and tell you what I prefer and what I use. Primes are my go-to, especially the 85mm from Sigma. This just creates bangers every time. You can't take a bad photo with this lens. But there's actually one reason why I like prime lenses, and it might actually surprise you. And that is being stuck at one focal length. I really do think it helps your brain a lot more when taking photos, being stuck to one focal length. I'll use street photography as an example. So say I'm shooting on a 24-70, so I've got kind of the full average range that I'm going to use. I can go wide, but I can also go zoom. I'm just making sure no one's going to run me over. So I see a building over there. I want to shoot that building, but I could go wide, I could go zoom, I could go mid-range. I've got so many options now in my head where I'm like, okay, what photo do I actually want? Okay, I guess I'll go zoom. There it is. It's almost too many options where you don't actually know what you want now. Whereas when I've got a prime lens on, I know what prime lens I'm putting on, what shots I need to get with that lens, because it can only stay at one length. So if I put on my 85mm, I know I have to get these nice sweeping zoom shots to these faraway subjects with blurry stuff in the foreground. I know those are the sort of shots I'm going to be getting. So I just work around that, and that's my mindset for that shot and for the whole shoot. Whereas if I put on my 35mm, I know I'm going to get these nice wide shots. I need to frame up my images and choose certain locations in that street photography scene to actually make it work. And I just think that helps a lot more to work around the lens instead of having so many options that you don't even know what to shoot anymore. So yeah, that's my opinion on it, but you might not shoot the same stuff as me. So remember, what do I shoot? Okay, right, I shoot events, I need conveniency, zoom lens. Okay, I shoot portraits, I've got time on my hands, cool. Prime lens, job done. But yeah, hopefully that helped. I'm gonna leave all my gear links below if you want to check out any of the stuff that I use. And if you did enjoy this video, consider subscribing. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.